Hello and welcome to this, my newest endeavors here, Deconstructing Distortions. This is a bit of a step up from one of my initial kind of YouTube series that I did a year or two back, I forget how long it's been exactly. But Comprehending Consciousness was one of the first things that I sort of got going as a series and as a project for myself to offer on YouTube. And Comprehending Consciousness is, I actually never really closed it. I haven't done an episode recently, but I never officially closed it either because it's sort of an on-running, never-ending, ever-evolving offering. But it's geared towards beginners, people who are waking up just now, people who are very involved in the mainstream, people who perhaps are not as aware of the more occult, esoteric, hidden, or just the manyness of all of the information that's out there, right? When Comprehending Consciousness was a sort of shake 'em, wake 'em, you've just woke up, what do you do? These kind of things for people to help assist in comprehending what exactly is the real truth about sort of overused terms and phrases that were really trendy and are really trendy, like woke and spiritual bypassing, higher self, ascension. I did all these on little videos, and this is what this is a step up from that, geared towards those of us who have already kind of been through that whole series and or didn't need it, but are more aware that there is a whole other peeling back now of layers of lies, of the sort of film of an onion, or the veil, if you will, right? Is pulling back, is becoming more apparent. And with that, as we grow and ascend and become more aware of deeper rooted issues, I would like to bring those kind of things forth as I've come across them, and to bring them as an offering to people who will understand them too, people who actually can see the multifacetedness of it. So I'm kind of calling this the adepts level, people who are eternal students who actually actively want to seek and learn about truth and the truth of, here and the nature of life, excuse me. May I have some of my coffee here. It's that time of year. I'll put that up there, actually. So welcome. This is the first sort of introduction video to just talk about what exactly deconstructing distortion even means, before I offer some phrases and terms and get into, the juice of it in other episodes. I'd like to just do sort of a kickoff and a get familiar, especially if people didn't watch Comprehending Consciousness. Excuse me. But for people who haven't watched that, and maybe are into other videos of mine, I can have really long videos, I know, and I can get into super deep topics and go for a really long time. These are meant to be snippets and short, under 20 minutes, and one single topic, and sort of just I'm going to offer up my take on it and my sort of layer of that I'm seeing. And occasionally I might do deeper dives, which would be like a longer discussion type video on the side, or maybe I have a podcast audios running alongside where I kind of have a discussion, kick around about the term if it needs more. But my real hope is to sort of just do these quick terms in simplistic ways that we just look at the truth of them together. Maybe have a conversation about them later. Maybe, I'll get comments and feedbacks. That's always awesome. But I want to make sure that we're on the same page and that people know my intentions and you know what this thing's going to be all about, really. So with that kind of said, the thing that I would like to offer beforehand is, as quick as I can, talk about what exactly distortions means and what lies versus truth is and how we gauge, sense, and know something as true or not. This is very wobbly wiggly, tightrope kind of scary thing to try to engage in talking about and share with others and monitor, witness, observe, interact with, and do as exchanges, because it needs such an open, available space of non-judgment, of ultimate potentiality, right? Of just holding open a spectrum for all sides of the potentials, positive, negative, and everywhere in between, to occur and happen for general observation. You know, at the highest point where we can see the whole of the happening at the best view for all, you know, to make most sense of things, to find the best way through, right? The most harmonious solutions for everybody involved. That's what the truth and seeking means to me. That's what I am doing. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about seeking truth. And what I'm doing in this series is attempting to come at a single term at a time, looking at that term across this wide view spectrum of what the term is in the middle, sort of like the root word, what the organic intention kind of could be, the positive of it, you know, maybe the prefix of it, and then looking at like the suffix as the sort of negative and saying what the negative tool and intentions can be. And then it creates a spectrum. It cannot be seen as rabbit hole tunnels segregated off, creating these separate spectrums of happenings for positive and negative between the word. We really need to remember that this is a multipolar, circular, I don't even know how to explain it. It's multidimensional, multifaceted happening to where it spreads as light spreads, you know, in an all-encompassing kind of intermingling thing where they come around and they intermingle. And this is why, especially for us in, you know, 3D reality, it becomes difficult to draw, it becomes difficult to create visualizations upon, and to really get what we're talking about exchanged vocally and visually and digitally. And again, this is, you know, what happens with distortions, is why things get convoluted and confused. And those are all varying shades of distortion. Just, you know, so when we, just like understanding, like I had just said about truth and lies being a part of a spectrum and they're intermingling happenings, you know, lies in themselves are also like that. And distortion in itself is sort of the root word. And there's positive and negative happenings to distortion. And depending on the intention of, you know, what is and why we're distorting it within what. It's this is why it's such a great area, and this is, you know, why I'm bringing up this whole series. It's going to be wonderful, and I have so much fun, and I found so much value and new discoveries, new understandings in diving deep into these kind of dissections and comparisons and the seeking of truth around all of it. Just the acceptance of, oh, okay, let's look at all the pieces and see what it is for what it is. I don't need the shenanigans. I don't need the hoopla. I don't want all of the drama or your personal input or your hurts behind it or your none of it. We don't need any of it. I just want to get all of the points on the scatter plot, and then we'll see where the data lies. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping to offer with the terms. That's kind of what I'm doing in my main life, and what I feel we all need to be doing. I think the collective is doing its collective message. You know, it's not my thinking that I feel solely some special way is being sent down to me only. You know, this is a collective download. This is whether you like to see it as ancestors, astral, spirit, God, Mother Earth, elementals and fairies, galactics, and all these terms and phrases. There's a manyness of life on a multitude of densities and dimensions and frequencies that we don't have exact senses to always pick up and know about. And that's part of our setting and the structure here, because, it all has purpose. Your designated settings have a purpose. Your distortions that are organically aligned to your, conception and your architecture this time around for your instrument and your discovery is on purpose with purpose. It is organic distortions. I talked about this in the podcast that I kind of kicked ground around distortions firsthand, which I put up, a week or so ago. Video podcast, because I don't have Spotify anymore, so I got kicked out of that, and I don't like their terms and agreements anymore for their free version. So I'm looking for different hosts that are free for now. But I'm still going to call it my podcast, and I'm still going to be putting up as many as I can that I can find a way to get those MP3s out. And I'm going to continue to kick ground around each term and have sort of a background podcast to offer, because these are huge topics. Distortion and why we distort, the positive and negative workings between them, and the organic and inorganic alignments and malalignments that are created that need to bring in balancing. We need to bring balance too. It takes a lot to get through and talk about. And so, I'm hoping to do those sort of audios, longer discussions alongside these quicker, short, to the point videos that will be here on YouTube. My main thing to offer as just guide points, I mentioned them in the audio a little, is thinking about distortion like a prism and understanding light is truth, and that prisms are beautiful and they create rainbows. And think of a chandelier, how it hangs with the crystal and all of the cuts and the hard edges and the corners and the shapes and the different distortions that are made to that prism that can bend the light in different ways, that create different beautiful arrays of visuals, that we get to appreciate and witness. And thoughts, information, our energy, our love, even ourselves. We're metaphors, parables, parallels to that prism. To each chandelier, little crystal that hangs there, you could see as a mind, body, vessel of a human. Chandelier is the collective of humanity. Or you see your family as the chandelier. Or you could see each cut on that chandelier crystal made as the face of a human. And the crystal, the whole crystal chandelier is all of Earth with the many different animals and life forms and plants. And, there's infinite ways that we interpret and we designate purpose to things. That's why we're creator consciousness. That's how we know the proof's in the pudding here, right? Because we designate purpose. We create and manifest and create change. But as we're doing that, we're distorting the one truth, because the single one truth of wholeness is before. It's the infinity, the containment of all. And the whole point of here is the discovery of what that is. You know what I mean? How that plays out, how much that can contain, and how much that whole needs, is on an infinite spectrum of potentiality, of distortion, right? Of bending light and seeing where it goes and what you can see from that version. The issues come when we try to force perspective on others, when we try to pretend or create an atmosphere that of separation, that forgets the whole thing, that we're bending light here, that there is an original one truth, that it's an exploration that we're all a part of and meant to reflect and have a right to. When distortions start to align negatively, and that means that they want to serve an inner self. That means their service turns segregated and inwards on themselves, or on a thing, on a concept, on a dream, on a project, on a system, on a tradition or ideology, on an idol. and other than where it should be, on the self, on the source connection to the wholeness that the self and others all represent, and are a great visual reminder, a constant acknowledgement, of that one truth. When we create segregated service in a certain way, it causes these sort of negatively aligned distortions of light, and they create these shadows that require the certain bending of light in a certain way to upkeep the puppet shadow that's happened in their segregated reality or experience of reality. And we all are making our reality bubbles, and we're all doing stuff like this. Nothing wrong with that. We're here to do that. But it's when we're trying, when we're not doing it in a transparent way, when we're trying to create shadow or coverage in a way to hide intention, to then manipulate and create a false intention or presentation. That turns systems negative. That creates a bending inwards, a desperate need and desire for the fuel of more light coming in to continue sort of the bending of the light. But here and now, and with everything, when we decide that we're not going to bend our light, that we're not going to put up with lies, that we're not going to just go along with that, we sense something's incorrect about it and just call it as it is, sort of like poof, makes it all dissipate, and there's too much light, too much truth around to allow that certain angle and only hold that perspective, right? Because they're trying to force, or the lie is forcing a certain perspective to make it assume a presentation of truth. So, point being, we want to, and I would like to be, shining more light in areas so that we can look at these things with more clarity and more transparency for everyone, so that everyone gets to see from all directions and put their opinion on it. And that will create more understanding of what's in the center at the whole and the whole point of it. And then we can make sure that we utilize these terms to their benefit. And because a lot of them have sort of been distorted in a malalignment to negative usage. And so they work and look like they only work to sort of make negative collection or create and generate more lies. But if we just could break out of that sort of forced context that we're saying the word in, or forced view that we're observing the sort of concept in, and jamming it in the sentence and jamming it in the way that we have to use it, we take it out and look at it again from that centerpiece and remember, oh yeah, there's a whole positive point of workings and perspective over here, open it up, then we can utilize that positivity more. And the thing is that when you remember and you get out of sort of their pigeonholed certain utilization here on the negative side, and remember that actually there's 50 other options, and we're just looking at, numbers 50 through 60, and they're trying to make us think that 60 of them are all over here, when in fact, the rest we have, another in between. We have positive implications and usages that we just haven't realized, or that we're just not utilizing. So I hope to bring forth the sort of root words and talk about them, and then really bring up how we can honor positive usage of them. And also what other words we can sort of tag our new thesaurus, New Age, New Earth synonyms, to create better understanding and to create more spectrum of comparison, so that maybe we can create new language. We start to direct more of the community, more of conscious collective, into the new usages and other usages of these terms and phrases and concepts over here, so much so that attention dies out on the negative ones, and we sort of forget about all of these really highly extreme amplifications of negativity and of negative usage. So this is it. This is my main kind of welcome. I don't want to go too much more. I'm at 20 minutes already. I did want to just give a preview of some of the terms that I'm going to definitely be kicking off with, to give people an idea of what's to come and what kind of I consider to be this eternal student level, more adepts, alchemist level terms and understandings. And also to say that I'm going to put out an audio and probably a blog as a kickoff to this dissection of distortions with the Walter Russell prayer that I talk about a lot, and also with the Christian Larson's Optimist Creed. I am working right now through sort of a rewrite, but not, it's creating more alignment to more positive terms and sort of engaging a bit more in openness in some of the words that are offered in both of those prayers or mantras or whatever you want to call those sort of little vows that so many people enjoy. I'm not changing too much of it and not really trying to make it like something of my own or anything, but just to sort of swing free some of the words to engage more positivity in there. I think it's such a fun exercise. It's such a good way to kick off this new project and concept of deconstructing distortion, and to know that all these things that have built up upon it, all of these sort of assumptions that we have about these phrases, are really layers of lies, layers of distortion, coverage, that we have put on top of the truth. So we are trying to break it down, get into the truth of things, talk about what all the things that we took off of it are and what we're left with afterwards. And then what we feel like comfortable and good about calling towards it. And what we want to cast away and say that doesn't align good anymore, and this doesn't either, and this is much better, and bringing forth those things to what feels true and right for us. So look forward to that with the Walter Russell and the Optimist Creed things coming in the next couple weeks. And the term ideas that I have to go already that I've sort of been working on, we'll definitely see, will be words like, of course, this more traditional sort of biblical terms like Father, Son, the other Son, the word man, power, perfection, forgive, compromise, command. Those are a couple. So I'll be going through those, plus many others, to talk about the sort of spiritual bypassing and also the main hijackings that I've seen come across with these terms. And then sort of trying to bring it back to reality. Let's talk about the real truth of it and try to seek through and find our best definitions. So thanks so much for watching this little welcome video. Looking forward so much to this new series. I hope you are too. If you have any ideas or any highly distorted kind of words that you've come across in your teach learning, on your alchemist journey and in your life, I'd love to hear about them. Feel free to send me emails, leave comments. My email's always in the description. And can't wait. So I'll catch you soon. I feel like I should say probably like have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are. Thank you so much for joining me, with your time and attention always. I'll catch you next time.